Welcome to No Compromises, a peek into the mind of two old web devs who have seen some things. This is Joel.
And this is Aaron.
One of the things I really like about the PHP ecosystem, and maybe more specifically the Laravel ecosystem, is that there are an abundance of packages that you can pull into your application, that maybe take complex or difficult tasks and with relative ease let you pull it in and use it. I think of things like the roles and permissions package. We use this all over the place. And, we could write that. We could build our own system. But why? Right? Like just use a package that exists.
Right.
They're well documented. That particular package is well tested. And there's a lot of people using it, hammering on it, finding bugs, adding features. So that's great. But sometimes, and I'll kind of put this in the context of us as a consultant coming into a project, we'll see tons of packages pulled into an application. And when you look at it, some of them are really like inconsequential. Like I'm not going to name names, right? But I'm thinking of one in particular. It was literally a single file that contained a single function, and it was about 30 lines of code. And so I don't know, Aaron, what are your thoughts on this? Like where's that balance between pulling in a package and using it and just like, you know what, I could just write that. That's not something that complicated.
Yeah. So there's a number of things that we have to remember about adding packages to our projects, and mainly it's surrounding risk and usability.
Mm-hmm.
So usability, first of all, is it may make it easier to do a thing, but depending on the architecture of that package and how that person put it together, they might have also locked you into only one way of doing it, which is an inefficient way for your style of programming.
Sure.
Or maybe it's insecure or anything, those things. And then using that as a jumping off point, the risk side is security of the package. You need to look through it all. What if the author unpublishes it? Now your app, can't work. Are there any tests on it? I think the example I remembering that you're saying is there wasn't any tests in there either.
There were not even a test folder. Like sometimes you'll get the test folder with like example test. This didn't even have that. Empty.
Yeah.
Non-existent.
Good for them for cleaning that out.
Okay, sure. There you go. What a positive take.
So we didn't have to look in there and be like, oh, there's no tests. But there's a lot of risk to adding a package. Not saying that you shouldn't,
right?
But every single package you add a little bit more of a vector of attack, or some risk to it and whatnot. And so, especially when you're looking at these ones that are like really small things like that.
Yeah.
Yes. What I think, I don't understand why. I'm glad people publish them and show us their way of doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to install that into my project.
Well, and you raise a good point. Maybe they published it because there's different models of working, right? We tend to dip in and out of a relatively small number of projects throughout the year, right? We tend toward longer engagements, but there's companies like an agency model. They might support 100 Laravel apps. And I could see maybe in that scenario, oh yeah, we use this thing everywhere. Well, now when we want to update it, we have to go update 100 apps. Like maybe it makes sense in that case to publish a package, even for internal use, but to put it on packages, and then someone else might see it and want to use it too. So yeah, I'm not yelling at people for publishing a small package, but it's more on the consumption side. Like, does it make sense for me to pull this in? And a lot of times it doesn't. I think we're in agreement on that.
Yeah. And I know we've talked about this before, but I guess one of my questions is, whatever happened to just teaching people? Why don't people write blog entries? Like if you have a 5 line function, you could just write a blog entry about it and share it on your favorite social network, and then say, this is how you would solve this problem that's repeatable. You don't have to publish a package and develop art for it and all this different stuff. Like
a fancy logo. No, this one did not have a fancy logo. So that would make me more mad is if there was like really fancy logo and branding and still no tests. Then it's like, well, where are you spending your time on this? But no, this was it had a README. I'll give it that, and it had a code example, but it didn't. No tests, no other real information. And again, I can say this because we're not naming names, but internally it had to make an HTTP request, and it was using curl. And like this was a package specifically for Laravel. Like I get if it was a PHP package and you didn't know where it was going to be pulled in, you didn't want to add a whole dependency for something. But if this is for Laravel, there's an HTTP client built in which can be faked and has like testing support and stuff. So like pulling this in, now you have to do a lot more gymnastics if you wanted to mock that particular API interaction that's coming from the package too. So that's another thing I think about is how well is it written is kind of a way of looking at it.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I would say about this is there's probably, I guess, well, I can't say this for certain. I'll ask you then.
Okay.
Do you think there's a responsibility in people online who are sharing these links to packages then to verify that it's worthwhile?
I would, you mean like just, hey, I saw this on Twitter or something, share a link to it.
Yeah, because I'm always scared that like someone will write a package. I mean, and I almost thought about doing this myself just to demonstrate it, but write a
Okay.
package where it actually has a security hole in it
Oh,
that can do something nasty, and then try to seed it into other things, and then have people share it around. Because if you
yeah,
can get the branding and your audience right, you could possibly get this in the hands of everyone. And
sure.
from my experience, a lot of people don't seem to look at the source code. They just look at the docs or something and say, "How do I use this package?" And
Yeah.
yeah, I should use that immediately right now when there hasn't been any people reviewing it.
This probably won't surprise you, but I'm going to take a little bit of a nuanced approach. And
Okay.
like, I don't think there's anything unethical about sharing a package that you saw and you thought looked interesting and
Yeah.
you haven't done like a complete audit on it. And I don't think
Right.
that's what you're saying.
No.
But I would say you should have at least tried to use it. Because again, just scanning the docs or even looking at the code, the thing might be completely broken, right? I mean, like I would be more inclined to share something and I would find it more valuable if somebody shared something that they had actually tried and they're like, yeah, this worked well. It did what it said it did and it was easy to use. Like to me that's worth sharing more than just like, hey, I saw this thing exists.
Well, just to make this fully muddy, then I'm going to
Okay.
take the opposite side, which is
No.
I think it's impossible for everyone that wants to share and aggregate content to
Yeah.
have used everything. Like, how are you going to, like if you have an aggregation site, for example, that you share 10 links,
Oh, yeah, sure.
how are you going to test all those things? So like
Right.
it's, you talk about nuance. There is I guess a ton of nuance to it.
Yeah, and maybe even say that like, "Hey, I just saw this. It looks cool. Has anybody used it?" Is the different than try this out. This package is great, and the link, and you've never even installed it. Like
Gotcha. Yeah.
there's some context to how it's being shared too, but that's a valid point. And one last thing, I think you said last thing already, but I'm going to put
Oh,
one
nope. All
last.
right, we're done. Goodbye.
um, the I think we've mentioned this before too, but let's just say it's a well written package. It's documented. There's no security holes. It has tests. There's still like a little bit of friction now when the next version of Laravel comes out. And this
Hmm.
one package, the guy's on vacation, right? He hasn't
Yeah.
updated it. And like we've bumped into that. It's a pain. And you don't have to be on the bleeding edge of upgrading to Laravel, but like you also don't want to introduce unnecessary friction. So I just throw that in there as one more point to consider before taking on a new dependency.
So I know I've mentioned this before that I'm pretty significantly colorblind. And it was rough growing up because, they'd be like, put the red circle in the toy, and I'd grab like a green thing and like it wouldn't fit or something. And they're like,
Was
"What's
it a
wrong with
circle
you?"
though? You
I
don't
don't
have shape
know.
blindness, do you?
Oh no, but I mean, I don't know, a cylinder.
Okay. I get what you're
And
saying.
so, and that or like during the fall time in the Midwest, the trees
Mhm.
change colors, and my parents would take me for a drive when I was little. Be like, enjoy all the beautiful trees, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I never understood that.
Okay.
And then I started looking at the rest of the world, and I think there's either a lot more colorblind people than we realize, or everyone just wants to mess with us.
Mm.
And I can give you an example. I think of common or rhyme, which it just drives me nuts every time I hear it when it starts out. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Roses are red, violets are blue, et cetera, et cetera. Guess what? Violets are purple. They're not blue. You know what? If you think they're blue, you probably have red green deficiency like
Oh
I do.
no.
So basically, what we see is you're either messing with me or the person who wrote this rhyme has color blindness too.
I also think there's a third option, which is they are taking poetic license to like make the rhyme
Mm,
better.
no. I mean, it literally says it in the name of the flower, violets. So, I mean, I guess you wouldn't say violets are violet, but
Oranges are orange.
yeah, yeah, that's an example of something we've
Yeah.
named after the color of it.
Right. Wait, did we name it after the color or did the color come after the fruit?
I don't know.
That's a deep question.
Do you need an audit of all the packages that are installed in your Laravel app?
We can help. Head over to nocompromises.io and reach out to us. We can help with a code review, a package audit, or anything else you need.